Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here with Killy, and we're gonna discuss some Guilty Gear. So, how's it going, Killy? Haven't had you on here in a while.
Yeah, I've been recovering from the flu from Evo Japan.
That sucks, man. But hey, at least you got to go to Japan. So yeah.
Yeah.
So this is basically about an interview that Destructoid had with the Guilty Gear creator Daisuke, and pretty much about the future direction for the Guilty Gear franchise, potentially simplifying the mechanics. So just let me read off something here, Killy, on what he said. And I quote, Dragon Ball FighterZ was developed based on the lessons learned through previous Guilty Gear and BlazBlue titles, but for Guilty Gear specifically, it's important for us to maintain the people we've already won over. At the same time, we do not want to expand the user base, so more users are coming in. Daily, we're trying to figure out what our balance point is to satisfy our users that are already with us and the new users. So, you know, ever since Dragon Ball FighterZ, they've just been crazy successful, you know, with so many players, and they're basically trying to find that balance where, you know, Guilty Gear is known as to be, you know, a very complicated fighting game. And the second quote that he said as well was, after releasing Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, it's clear what we need to improve on. The key is to win over more users because of the complex controls. But if we do implement everything, the game will no longer be Guilty Gear. It's hard to balance out all the improvements. One thing that we have to do in our next installment is to reduce the number of system and it's quotes mechanics. It's too complicated for everyone. You can expect that in the next game. So what do you think about that, Killer?
It can mean a lot of different things. Everyone wants to interpret this negatively and saying that they're dumbing down the game.
You're dumbing down the game, Killer!
But that might not be the case here, right?
Yeah.
It could be something as simple as, let's get rid of Danger Time. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Danger Time doesn't really add any sort of depth to the game.
It adds height, though. Sorry.
It was artificial height at best.
Yeah.
Right, but for the player base, it was frustrating because it was a random occurrence, and the reward off of a single hit was huge. So most players tried to play safely whenever that happened. So it's a mechanic that doesn't need to be in there. It doesn't add anything to the game. So you can take a look at that and saying, okay, let's get rid of some of these mechanics, right?
Well, with Danger Time, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer to remove Danger Time, right? But yeah. I don't think Danger Time, in terms of people not playing Guilty Gear, one of their reasons because they don't want to put the time to Guilty Gear, is definitely not because of Danger Time, you know? Yeah.
But it's a mechanic that doesn't need to be in there, and it could be something that's like part of their discussion of like, what can we get rid of? Right?
Yeah.
It's just like one of those arbitrary things, and it's like, well, this is an extra mechanic that. Among our list of other mechanics in the game that we don't need, right?
It's a little bloated. It's a little bloated.
Yeah.
So what else do you think they could be looked for?
Hellfire mode could be adjusted. I don't think they need to outright get rid of it because you do need something to be able to combo into instant kills. But that could be something that could be looked into. I don't know about Blitz. I don't know if getting rid of Blitz is necessarily the best thing. There's some aspects that could be adjusted with Blitz, but I think Blitz is a way to keep offense and Oki in check. It's just an extra defensive option, but it's something that they could get away getting rid of, and it wouldn't impact the game too much.
Like a lot of those defensive mechanics, like really help with the balance of the game too.
I think you really need a lot of those defensive mechanics. Like some people say that some people say it's like too complicated because you have regular block, you have faultless defense, and you have instant block. But if you didn't have faultless defense and you didn't have instant block, pressure and offense would be absolutely crazy in that game. You need faultless defense to be able to push people out to get back to neutral. You need instant blocks to be able to punish pressure and punish certain block strings and stuff like that. If you didn't have those mechanics, then it's like everyone would flowchart their pressure. Like whoever basically causes the person to block first is gonna win, kind of thing, right? Like you gotta have those kind of mechanics in there.
Yeah. So like looking at how they designed like Dragon Ball FighterZ and the way. Because I'm looking a lot on the combo system, the combo structure, because when I think of players that are, you know, they want to play Guilty Gear, but they're saying that the most excuse I hear is like, I don't have the time to put into that game. A lot of that is around like the combo structure of the game, you know? But at the same time, you don't want to dumb it down too hard where it doesn't feel like Guilty Gear anymore. Or it's just, you know, every character feels the same, right? Every character has the same, like, Gatling system. So I'm really thinking of, like, the combo structure of Guilty Gear and what makes it so complicated, you know? And if they'll touch that in the next iteration.
Every character is different.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Like, their combo structure is completely different.
Yeah.
Between all the characters, so no two characters are the same. It's good or bad, right? Good because you have that variety. Bad because it gets complicated for some players.
Yeah.
To pick up more than one character. But I like that variety, right? It keeps it from becoming stale.
Yeah.
You could argue character-specific combos, but I think it's a catch-22 at that point. Character specifics can get annoying just from the sheer number of combos you have to memorize.
Yeah.
And some combos don't work properly on other characters due to their hitbox or whatever, right? But then sometimes you get these really cool character-specific combos that are nicely optimized, but they're also really like fancy to do.
Oh, okay.
So like I use Johnny. Yeah. Johnny has a lot of character-specific combos. It does get annoying trying to remember all of them.
Yeah.
But there are some character specifics that he has that are really fun to do. So like Faust or Bedman, I have some throw combos that I love doing on these characters because they're nice and optimized, good corner carry, but they're just really fun to do. So it's a catch-22, right? You can homogenize the hitboxes between the characters to make it easier for players to learn a character or learn the game, but then you also lose some depth to it. But whether you consider it artificial depth or not is another debate right there.
Like, how far you think it would, like, when would it be crossing the line? Like, if they got rid of the character-specific combos, like the weight classes, right? Where characters drop faster.
I think if you could homogenize the weight classes between 3 different weight classes, that would be a good balancing point. Because even though you have characters that are within the same weight class, because of the way their hitboxes work, you'll still have variations between characters in the same weight class, right? So if you could, I say you could maybe get away with homogenizing the weight classes. So that you have lightweights. Everyone who's considered a lightweight, this one combo will work on all the lightweights. Everyone's considered medium weight, it will all work on medium weights and then heavyweights, right? Rather than having, like, even within lightweights, this character and this character, this one combo won't work on one of the characters or something like that, right?
Another thing too is, like, they've made a really great tutorial system, right? Teaching the game and such. And the trials do show a lot of example combos, but maybe they can show, like, those like, as sample combo, get people started on, like, all those different weight classes, for example, right? Just so you know exactly what to start off with in general, I feel, with the trials. But I mean, there's not too much you can complain about their tutorial. They're trying to work around it, right, without dumbing down the game. They're trying to, like, teach everything they can, right? Give every mechanic they can to, like, defend yourself and give you a lot of options defensively and offensively, you know.
That tutorial mode gave you matchup specifics.
Yeah.
Like it taught you how to do matchups, how to defend against common tactics, or how to punish common tactics for this character. And like, I haven't seen any other tutorial that's done that. Now there might be one or two other games that probably do that, but like Guilty Gear was the first that I saw that's done that. And maybe there's something else that, not another game that's done that before, but I mean, just that level of detail is really important. I mean, they did a really thorough job to, like, spoon feed you as much information as possible. Yeah.
So yeah, what about the canceling, like the YRCs and such? Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, they already dumbed down FRCs from past games, and FRCs are really tight. You had some FRCs that were like 1 frame.
Oh, really?
And then you had FRCs that would change depending on how you hit, where you hit them.
Oh, okay.
Like, I was at Hey Arcade in Japan, and we had Keisuke there, and he's like a top Japanese Testament player, right? And so we're watching him play like a good Bridget player. And one of the Testament combos requires him, I think it was like 6k, not 6k, like one of his command normals. There's an FRC point on it, right? But depending on where you hit them, like if you hit them higher up, the FRC point changes.
Oh wow!
And this guy would land three of these at different heights, and he FRC each one no problem.
Oh, of course.
Like right? And so, like that was really complicated and tough back in the day.
Yeah.
And in Xrd series, they got rid of FRCs altogether and changed it to YRC, RCs, and PRCs. So they already like simplified it as much as they could.
Yeah.
And like they color coded it as well
they
for you.
Yeah.
So like that's as much as they could simplify it as possible.
Yeah.
I don't think you could simplify it any further. And if you removed it, I think you remove so much from the game if you get rid of.
Like I think it just adds depth. Like I don't think it necessarily makes it more complicated because you don't really need to do it to get started, right? It's just something to add on to optimize everything, right?
Yeah.
So they got to go after something to get you started, you know. So
either like combo extensions, pressure, whatever.
Yeah.
Like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Any other mechanics you want to talk about, Killy? In general, do you think they might look at?
I don't know about... This isn't necessarily a mechanic itself, but characters have different wake-up timings. And it also depends if they've been knocked down face down or face up.
Oh, really?
So between characters, they have different wake-up timings, but also different wake-up timings depending on how they've been knocked down, right? I could see them changing that. Maybe like simplifying that. Rather than having different wake-up timings between characters, you kind of stabilize it between all of them, but keep the face-up, face-down. Because some moves are designed in a specific way to get you a certain knockdown, right? And if you like make it, if you mess around with that too much, you could be screwing some things up in that regard.
Yeah, that's the thing when you have such a complicated game and you're trying to tune it, you know, to cater to as much people as possible, man. It's crazy, dude. I can't wait to see what the next iteration is gonna look like, and hopefully they have a really good base roster, you know, like a big roster too.
Well, they'll expand upon the existing roster. Yeah. Like my thing is the next iteration of the game will be Unreal Engine 4. Take base roster, add in more characters, and then obviously then whatever system mechanics they want to include in there.
Yeah.
But like if they take away system mechanics, you got to add something in there as well.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be give and take, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like they already removed force breaks and slashbacks from plus R in the Xrd series. So force breaks were basically like EX moves, but they were all character specific. So they're not quite EX moves where they power up an existing special. It was like a brand new special, but it took 25 meter. Right, so all the characters had like a new special, but it was 25 meter to do it, and they already took that out. And then slashbacks were basically kind of like what Blitz is right now, but slashbacks were like really, really tight timing.
Oh yeah, I remember you explained to me about that before. So yeah.
So they already like removed past complicated systems, or like execution heavy systems from past games and re-implemented it, but in a simplified manner. So it's like, well, how far do you go with this?
It's not enough, Killy. We want more.
Well, I mean, it's a catch-22, right?
Yeah, man.
Despite how much simplified Xrd is in comparison to the older games, the player base is still not as strong as other fighters. Like not as big as other fighters. And it's the combination of different things. Like aesthetically, it doesn't appeal to everyone. Then, like gameplay-wise, it doesn't appeal to everyone. Too complicated for some.
Yeah.
Not as complicated as the previous games for the OGs.
But Guilty Gear's still doing fine, man. We still got it evil and such, you know. Still doing fine.
Guilty Gear's in a good spot, honestly. Yeah. Like it's in a fairly good spot.
And it's got the arcade scene too, you know, outside of consoles, right? So.
You got the arcade scene in Japan. You got the console base in North America, and it's still doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Steam release helped it. And then tournament scene is still doing good because I mean we're at Evo this year again. It was at EVO Japan. The entrance numbers for EVO has always been particularly high. We hover around 900 to 1,000 plus players.
Yeah.
At each EVO, so that's pretty good overall.
And a lot of people watch it, like people that don't even play it. A lot of people watch it. It's a fun spectating it too. I like to watch it myself, right? So yeah. Okay, well.
So yeah.
Let's wrap this up, guys. In the comments below, let us know what changes you guys would like to see to Guilty Gear in the future, and what's holding you back from diving in and checking it out yourself. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, guys, and also like the video. It really helps out. And Killy, thanks a lot for joining me with this, and hopefully we'll talk about more Guilty Gear in the future, man.
All right, peace.
All right, take care.